Hi everyone, my name is Vidur and I'm a senior systems engineer in Juniper Networks for Mist Wireless. And today we're going to understand how we can create an organization and a site in the Mist dashboard. Okay, let me quickly go to the Chrome here. Before you get to the dashboard, what you need to do and understand is you have to go to manage.mist.com. I repeat, manage.mist.com. I'm anyway going to give you the link in the description of the video. Click on that and you need to register your email address and create a password and create an account for yourself. Once you do that, I think within a couple of hours, you'll get an email stating that your account has been created. Once that happens, you need to log into manage.mist.com with that same username and the password, and then you are in this page. Here, if you see the button there, what you need to do is you need to go to my account. Once you click on my account, you will be able to get an option here under utilities, do a drop down and create organization. Here you can enter the name of the org that you want to create. Maybe that could be a demo or could be a test org, whatever you want to create to test things out. Do that, click OK, and then your org is created. So I'm not going to click OK there. I already have the org created here named Vidur. So once we do that, we are going to be at the home page here on that particular org. The next thing that you want to do is you need to create a site for your org. You basically, the hierarchy is you have an org, then you have multiple sites under it. You could actually group some sites if you want to, or you can have individual sites also created. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go on organization and click on site configuration. So as you can see, I already have a site created named Vidur's Home. I'm going to create one more site so that we know what we are doing here. This would be a test site, let's say, and I can select the country I want to select. Let me go with India, of course, and the time zone would be, yes, let me scroll further down, plus 5:30 GMT. Let's see where it is. It should be somewhere here. Asia, Calcutta, 5:30. There we go. And if you want to add some notes, feel free to do that. This is a test site. Okay. And the RF template, if you need to actually create an RF template for the RF configuration done on a site, you can, if you already have one created, like I have one here because of my other site, I can call it here, or I can create a fresh RF template which I can call on this site later on as well. That's something which we can do here or later on. I can create some site groups if I want to make sure, I want to group a few sites together and then later on call one config template to the entire group. I can do that as well. So basically this is just grouping of sites together. Firmware upgrade is the other option. What we can do here is we can actually make sure, we can of course enable auto upgrade if you want to. This would trigger an upgrade every if there is an upgrade present. This would trigger an update or upgrade at 2 a.m. in the 2 a.m. The day would be Sunday. You can select whatever day you want to. Basically by default this is Sunday because these are off hours and we don't want the service to get disrupted at all. What we do is we kind of go to auto upgrade to RC2 firmware. This is something which is more stable. So I would suggest you do that. Or you can also do if you want to do a custom upgrade to a specific version, go to select version and for the AP that you have, you could have multiple APs, of course, different models. You can select whichever version you want to do an upgrade to at that particular time, and life is good. So once you scroll further down, this is the next section talks about the Bluetooth based location services. Whether you want to have BLE services enabled for this particular site or not, of course, you need to have a specific license for that, which we will talk about in some other video. A virtual BLE engagement is something which you can use for BLE engagement like proximity messaging and indoor wayfinding. Asset visibility is you can check that box if you want to run asset visibility on this particular site. When the clients can be located on the dashboard or can be located through a BLE tag that they might wear. That's asset visibility. You can enable this if you want to run that service also. Of course, if you want to use Wi-Fi location settings for unconnected clients are the clients which just probe your network, that they are not on the network, but they probe your network and Mist is actually capable of also letting you know all those devices in the vicinity as well. So you can enable this one if you want the Mist dashboard to track those clients as well. I keep it unchecked because I don't need them here. Of course, for the next page, access point settings, we can enable channel 144. I don't want to do that. Enable local status page. This is a new setting. What it does is it enables the clients to be able to check the settings to which they're connected to, like the AP settings. What you do is you can add a host name here. So if you enter an IP address or a host name there, what will happen is the client connected to any of the WLANs on the AP will be able to enter that IP address and be able to reach a page where they'll see good details about how they're connected to the AP and what are the AP details to which they're connected and all sorts of good stuff. For this to happen, the AP will pick an IP address for each WLAN that is present. So you need to make sure you have a DSCP pool designed as per that. And of course, enable LEDs is something which I want to do. I like to look at the LEDs when the AP is mounted or connected. This is for mesh networking. If you want to enable that, you can do that. There is a minimum of RC1 firmware required. So, here we can go here and select the version. And for example, let's select the RC1 version and you're good to go. That is something which you can keep in mind. The next is switch management. This is for adding a switch in this particular site, which we will cover in a later video as well. This is for wired assurance, which Mist has brought in. Uh, Site proxy is an important setting. What it does is there are certain organizations which do not have direct internet access. So for the APs to connect to the cloud, they need to have internet access. That's how they're able to get an IP address through DSCP and then hit the cloud directly. If they do not have the internet access directly, if they have it through a proxy, this is where you enter the details of the proxy URL and the AP can then hit the cloud just fine and get registered. Location is something which this is going to be for your site. I'm going to give the address. Let's say it could be Mantri Flora. This is where I stay right now in Bangalore. Mantri Flora, it's going to pick the information and the location from the Google Cloud, Google Maps, and it does that to perfection. So this is something which we can add, of course, to for it to be able to figure out where the site is. Engagement analytics is another important aspect of the analytics part of it. Here we actually define what kind of analytics we can run. It could be somebody who could be a passerby, somebody who could be a customer, and all these things are edited. So these values are in second. How this works is if anybody spends this much time in my site for let's say 1 second to 10 seconds or 300 seconds, 1 second to 5 minutes, this he would be a passerby. If somebody is spending more time in a place, let's say customer who's spending more than 300 seconds to 14 40 400 seconds, this could be a customer. Now how this works is this could be a very handy use case in a mall based scenario, or in a corporate office, or in a retail store, where where people walk into the shops, and they spend this much time, and then you are able to actually figure out and run analytics on top of that, whether they were clients, whether they were actually passerby, just walked past the store, or they were actually customers who got into the shop and explored a few things. Whether they bought something or not, that is something else. Associate could be, if somebody who's working in the shop, who's spending a lot of time in the shop. And asset is something which is just kept in the shop as, let's say a keyboard, or a computer, or a laptop, or a desktop, something which belongs to the shop, which you can stick with the BLE tag, and it'll act as an asset, and it'll always be there. So that's how you differentiate. You can, of course, give different names. You can edit the values also, and you can also make sure you select the active hours where you want this to be captured, and you will get some really good information on engagement analytics running in the background. Occupancy analytics is another form of it. You can select the minimum seconds to which you want the user to spend in that area for the occupancy analytics to run on that. And that is, and of course, public occupancy dashboard can also be enabled on top of that. The visualization modes could be two, that is zone occupancy and client density. The definitions are here. You can actually figure out, how you want to display things based on zone and client density. Moreover, if you want to have a notification sent to the users, You can do that, of course. And there are, so what it means is if some people or somebody spends more time than 5 minutes in a particular area, I can add an email address here and I can send a notification to the admin saying, you know what, there are this guy is not supposed to be here for this long. Or if he spends, if there's a bunch of people spending too much time in a particular area, you can also, reach out to somebody else and drop an email. That is something which you can do. However, for this particular site, I don't need any, so I'm going to just uncheck that. And occupant types, when you do the public occupancy dashboard, what do you want to really track? You want to track the Wi-Fi clients, you want to track the mobile app clients, you want to track the assets or the badges. You can track all of them, you can track anyone. That's up to you. Webhooks is very important. Sometimes, so Mist doesn't support SNMP. What it does is it has the capability of sending out details to different servers through webhooks and APIs. So how webhooks works is you can actually have a remote server which is capable of webhooks, and you can send all sorts of streaming APIs like location coordinates, zone entry exit events, a virtual beacon entry exit events, alerts, and device events as well. So you can enter the name of the server, the URL, and the secret to which it will connect to, and then you can stream all these API events to that server, and the server can actually go ahead and make sense of it. So with location coordinates, you are sending the location coordinates of the client at each time. Zone entry exit points. If you create a zone on the floor plan, the client entering and the client exiting, both those events will be recorded and sent through webhooks to the server, and so on and so forth. This is important if you want to stream, if you want to send out some data to a third party BI, where you can store data, or run any sort of algorithm to make sense of that data as well. Security configuration is I think, yeah, we need to enable that by default. I would say detect honeypot APIs are the ones, any APIs in your vicinity which are sending out SSID as your SSID. So if you have an AP, or if I create my hotspot with the same SSID as my office SSID, then my hotspot is like a honeypot to that particular AP. So that's dangerous, because sometimes the clients can go and hit that AP and try to connect and pass traffic, since the SSID name is pretty much the same. Detect rogue and honey neighbor APIs is it's good. You can detect the rogue APIs and the neighbor APIs, and of course you can set the threshold and the time to which time and the time threshold as well. These are handy settings which you need to know. Approved SSID and approved BSSIDs are something that you want to whitelist. That's a good feature if you want to whitelist some SSIDs which you know are your own. You can do that. AP config persistence is a very important setting. I will always and always keep it checked. What this means is, if the client is if the AP I'm sorry if the AP is doesn't reach the cloud by any chance, so upon a reboot, the AP will retain its configuration. That's what AP config persistence really means. Now, why it is important is, now let's say for example your AP rebooted, and AP config persistence is unchecked. It comes back up, hits the cloud, takes around 20 to 25 seconds for it to download the configuration, right? Or even lesser than that, depending on the kind of network you have. However, if it is checked, if it reboots, it already has the old configuration, and it will not have any kind of a downtime. So you don't need to, the AP does not need to reach the cloud once again to download the config. It already has the configuration, and the clients can directly connect. Now, there's another reason why this is very helpful is, for example, if your AP reboots and for some reason your WAN goes down at that same point in time, when the AP comes back up, it cannot reach the cloud and get the configuration, right? Now, with this setting unchecked, your AP is stuck. You cannot do anything because the AP doesn't have the configuration. It will come back with the default configuration. So always and always keep it checked. This really helps speed up the process, and this should be checked by default at all costs. Wood Cloud single sign-on and Juniper ATP is currently under testing. Nothing much to disclose on that, so we'll skip past it right away. SSH keys is something which is for internal use, for the support team and the escalation team, and it's something which they utilize to troubleshoot some issues if they're happening on your AP. So that is something which we're gonna again skip past. That's not for customers and not for us. Mist tunnel is something which you can enable if you want to have a mist edge configured somewhere in the network. You can decide which VLANs to pass on, which AP subnets to pass on, what the MTU size could be. It could be a primary cluster, which is the combination of multiple mist edges, or it could be a secondary cluster, again, a combination of multiple mist edges. That is something which is not used in every network at the moment, so we'll just uncheck that for now. Gateway application visibility is another thing, which is very new to the Mist site configuration. This is used primarily for WAN assurance and SRXs. Right? In SRXs, of course, we know Mist has newly launched WAN assurance in the mobility field, and there's a specific license for that. This application gateway visibility is to understand what applications are being run on the other side. And yeah, there are not many details right now available, but this is connected to the SRXs and the WAN assurance stuff here. Site variables, again, we're going to skip that. We don't need, if we just need to, basically name the sites with specific variables, you can do that. But I think we're going to skip past that for now. This is not used at all in a normal configuration. So this is how you create a site. And once you click on save, it's going to come up something like this. And I'm going to just leave the page here. It's going to come something like this. And post which, of course, you have to create. Now your site is ready, post which you have to create the RF templates and the config templates for the site to inherit the configuration of the WLANs and the configuration of the RF radios, and you can actually create those and call it inside the site. So we'll do that in a different video, but this is how you create an org or a site on a Mist dashboard. And this is something which we do day in day out, so it's very handy for all of us to know how we do this. And if you run into any sort of problems, if you have any questions on how a specific things work, or a specific thing works, or how, if you run into a problem, have any questions, just comment below, let me know, and I should be able to answer that ASAP. uh, Hopefully, guys, this was helpful. And after this, I think you should be very confident to create your own organ sites in the Mist dashboard. And if there's anything else, again, let me know, and I'm happy to help. Thank you so much for all your time.